From Washington, this is VOA News. Another foreign physician has been infected with the Ebola virus in Africa. The U.S. Secretary of State emphasizes the administration's stance on U.S. troops in Iraq. I'm Ira Mellman in Washington. A French staff member of Doctors Without Borders has contracted the Ebola virus while working in Liberia. The humanitarian relief organization announced in a press release Wednesday that the woman who was on assignment in Monrovia was placed in isolation Tuesday after developing a fever. She'll be taken to France for treatment. The woman is the most recent case of foreign health care workers who have become ill while treating Ebola patients in West Africa. The most recent outbreak has killed nearly 2,500 people, a conservative estimate that health experts say could be 2 to 3 times as high given unreported cases. A day early, the World Bank has approved a $105 million grant for the Ebola response. And that was followed by the International Monetary Fund giving $127 million. The World Bank has a warning about the economy of West Africa.
World Bank Group President Jim Yong Kim held a teleconference Wednesday to outline the economic effects of the Ebola epidemic.
Our findings indicate that if the virus continues to spread, the economic cost to these countries could grow eightfold by 2015. This would deal a potentially catastrophic blow to their already fragile economy.
Kim says the top priority is to save lives and prevent new infections. The World Bank assessment focuses only on Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. But preliminary estimates indicate if the Ebola virus spreads to other African nations, the impact could be many billions of dollars. Joe DeCapua, VOA News, Washington.
This is VOA News. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says American troops in Iraq do not and will not have a combat mission in the fight against Islamic State militants. Kerry told a Senate committee Wednesday that this is not 1991 or 2003, when U.S. forces were sent to Kuwait and Iraq to fight. He said their mission is training and supporting Iraqi forces on the ground, enabling the Iraqis to do what they must do.
From the last decade, we know that a sustainable strategy is not U.S. ground forces. It is enabling local forces to do what they have to do for themselves and for their country. I want to be clear. The U.S. troops that have been deployed to Iraq do not and will not have a combat mission.
Kerry also said it is critical for Congress to approve funding to arm and train the moderate opposition in Syria. Australian police have detained 15 people in a major counter-terrorism operation after they say intelligence indicated a violent attack was being planned on Australian soil. The Associated Press reports Australian federal police say around 800 federal and state police officers raided more than a dozen properties across Sydney and the eastern city of Brisbane and Logan as part of the operation. The arrests come just days after the country lifted its terror warning to the second highest level in response to the domestic threat posed by supporters of the Islamic State group. Colvin said police believe the people detained had been planning to commit a random violent act in Australia, Colvin being the federal police deputy commissioner. Iraqi security sources say government forces and Islamic State militants engaged in fierce clashes Wednesday, leaving about 30 people dead. The clashes took place in Iraq's western province of Anbar, where security forces have been trying to recapture Fallujah, Ramadi, and other cities lost to militants in recent months. In one incident, a suicide car bomb blast destroyed a bridge in Ramadi, killing 9 people. In the final day of campaigning before Scotland's independence referendum, 3 public opinion polls show no votes, which would keep Scotland, part of Great Britain, in the lead. An Ipsos Mori poll on the eve of the referendum showed the support for independence has risen to 49%, and the number of those against dropped to 51%. The support for independence has increased 7% since a similar poll was conducted on August 5th. Turnout of Thursday's referendum is expected to be very high since over 95% of constituents have registered to vote. South Korean military says it's detained a U.S. citizen who was apparently trying to swim across the river to North Korea.
That's the latest world news from VOA.